Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you today not just as a speaker, but as a person who had to walk through fire to find his focus. I didn't wake up successful, I woke up committed. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is one word: commitment. Commitment precedes progress. You don't need motivation. You need commitment. Motivation fades, but commitment fuels consistent action. Let's begin with the truth most people avoid. Nothing significant happens in your life until you commit. Not until you dabble, not until you kind of want it. Until you commit. Because commitment, real, unshakable commitment, is the spiritual and psychological switch that activates your potential. The reason most people stay stuck is not because they're lazy. It's because they've never actually decided. They flirt with their goals like it's a casual relationship, instead of marrying the process like it's their life's assignment. See, commitment doesn't just move your feet. It restructures your thinking. It overrides your excuses. It rewrites your identity. When you're truly committed, you don't negotiate with discomfort, you expect it. You don't back down when it gets hard, because difficulty isn't an obstacle. It's evidence you're in the right arena. Here's what you need to understand. Commitment precedes progress. It is the soil from which every harvest grows. Want to grow a business, a skill, a new version of yourself? Then stop trying and start committing. Trying gives you a back door. Commitment seals the exits. This is where most people tap out, because commitment isn't a feeling. It's a decision sustained by principle, not preference. And until that decision is made, nothing else matters. Knowledge won't matter. Talent won't matter. Only commitment has the power to turn potential into purpose, and purpose into performance. So before you ask how to do it, ask yourself if you're truly committed. Because when the commitment is real, the strategy will reveal itself. Discipline over emotion waiting to feel. Like doing something is emotional immaturity. Growth requires discipline, not mood. One of the biggest myths in personal development is the idea that you need to feel like it to take action. That's emotional immaturity masquerading as self-care. The truth is, if you only do what's necessary when it feels good, you'll never grow. Growth doesn't ask for your feelings, it demands your focus. Discipline is doing what's required, even when what's required is inconvenient. Think about this. Feelings are fickle, they're chemical. They shift based on your diet, your sleep, the weather, the last text message you got. If your destiny is tied to your mood, you're in trouble. But discipline is divine. Discipline is rooted in design. It's the evidence that you trust your future self enough to take action today, regardless of what your current self wants. Let me make it plain. Success does not belong to the most talented or the most inspired. It belongs to the most disciplined. The people who win are not always the ones who feel good about working. They're the ones who work anyway. Because they understand that discipline is not punishment, it's preparation. It's not restriction, it's structure. When you train yourself to move without emotional permission, you unlock a version of yourself that's dangerous to mediocrity. That's where transformation begins, not when you feel ready, but when you act anyway. You don't need to feel it to fulfill it. So the next time your feelings try to negotiate, remind them, you're not in charge. My future is. God gave you dominion, not excuses. Excuses are an insult to your potential. You were created with dominion, act like it. Let me challenge you with something bold. God gave you dominion, not excuses. When He formed you, He didn't give you a spirit of fear or delay. He gave you power. He gave you authority. But somewhere along the way, we traded that dominion for distractions. We've been rehearsing limitations instead of reinforcing our leadership. And we wonder why life feels stuck. Excuses are seductive. They let you stay comfortable while blaming something else. But here's the problem. Every excuse you make builds a mental prison. And the longer you stay in that cell, the more you forget the door was never locked. Most people aren't trapped by lack. They're trapped by lies they keep telling themselves. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I wasn't born into the right family. But none of those statements align with the nature of dominion. Dominion means stewardship. Dominion means decision making. Dominion means ownership. You may not control every circumstance, but you do control your choices. You control how you respond. You control how you show up. We were never meant to wait for life to hand us something. We were designed to subdue it, to multiply what we're given. So, the moment you stop making excuses is the same moment you start exercising dominion. Excuses sound like reasons, but they behave like resistance. So, trade your excuses for execution, and watch the authority God placed in you come alive. Mindset mastery equals life mastery. Your outer world will never exceed your inner world. Upgrade your mindset, and your life will follow. Let's talk about something that people often underestimate. Your mindset is not a detail, it is the blueprint. You will never rise above the level of your own thinking. Your business, your relationships, your income, your impact, they are all mirrors of your internal belief system. If your life is cluttered, limited, or stagnant, it's not because of what's out there. It's because of what's going on in here. See, transformation doesn't begin with effort. It begins with perspective. If you believe you're unworthy, no amount of hustle will override that subconscious narrative. If you think small, you'll act small. That's not laziness, that's alignment. Your actions will always align with your self-concept. That's why Romans 12:2 is not just spiritual, it's strategic. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and not your circumstances. Not your environment, your mind, because the battlefield is not your job, your finances, or your past. The battlefield is your thinking. You don't need more information. You need a mental renovation, and here's the secret. When you shift your beliefs, your behavior follows. That's why mindset mastery is life mastery. The most successful people don't have better conditions, they have better conclusions about who they are and what's possible. So, if you want a new life, stop changing what you do and start changing how you think. Your next level isn't locked in your environment, it's locked in your mindset. And it's time you found the key. Time is a seed, not a trap. How you use your time determines your harvest. So, wisely, reap abundantly. Time is not your enemy. It's your investment capital. And like any investment, it yields based on what you sow into it. The problem is, too many people treat time like it's a trap. Like it's running out, like they're being chased by a clock. But time isn't chasing you, it's waiting for you to do something meaningful with it. Think of it this way, time is a seed. Every minute is a unit of potential. What you plant in those minutes, whether distraction or discipline, purpose or procrastination, will grow. Not might grow, will grow. That's not just philosophy, that's cause and effect. You don't get to skip the process. You either plant intentionally or you harvest regret. And don't get it twisted, being busy is not the same as being productive. Just because your schedule is full doesn't mean your purpose is fulfilled. The wise don't fill time, they focus it. They measure moments not by activity, but by alignment. Is what you're doing in this hour leading you toward the vision God put in your heart? Or is it just noise? Time is not something to manage. It's something to multiply. And the way you multiply it is by aligning it with purpose. That's how you collapse decades into days. So stop saying, I don't have time. Start asking, Am I using my time in a way that honors my calling? Because wasted time is just purpose delayed and destiny denied. You don't need permission. You need purpose. Stop waiting for someone to validate your dreams. If God gave you the vision, move in purpose. One of the most paralyzing lies we've been conditioned to believe is that we need permission to pursue purpose. Permission from a mentor, from family, from culture, from credentials, but let me tell you, if God gave you the vision, you already have the clearance. You don't need approval when you have assignment. Purpose doesn't wait for applause. It demands obedience. Some of the greatest ideas, inventions, movements, and ministries never made it past the imagination stage, not because the vision was flawed, but because the person carrying it kept waiting for someone else to cuss on what heaven already confirmed. That's hesitation rooted in insecurity, not humility. And it robs the world of what only you were equipped to bring forth. The truth is, we're not stuck because of lack. We're stuck because of doubt. And doubt is often just fear dressed up in logic. But here's what I need you to hear. The calling on your life isn't based on consensus. It's based on covenant. Your job is not to convince everyone. Your job is to commit and move, even if you have to move alone at first. And when you do, when you act in alignment with purpose without waiting for validation, you stop being a passive character in your own life, and you become the author. So stop waiting for someone to tell you it's time. It's already time. Step out, step up, and walk like it's yours, because it is.